Episode 86. Detective Malone finds Randy and brings him to Joey. And Randy tells Joey he was going to pay him back with interest. That was the same thing that Dr. McBride was telling Joey, and Joey didn't give a damn about that. He told him he wanted all his money up front. So I don't know why Randy would think that that would even matter to Joey. But anyway. So Detective Malone tells Joey that he found Randy in the airport with a ticket to Mali with $10,000 of his money. And so Joey tells Randy it's cold where he's going. And I see Joey with some fresh red bottoms on. Okay, we see you out here, Joey. I can't believe that unless they came from a swap meet. But even if they did, they still some red bottoms, even if they fake. Next, Danny joins Andre and Ashley, and she asks if they're friends with benefits. And she goes on to tell Ashley that she's newly single, but Andre is famous for having a woman in every zip code. Then she goes on to ask Ashley, is she another pit stop in Andre's world tour? And she's wrong for that, because he's only talking to Ashley because she don't know how to let Bill go. Well, I mean, that's according to Andre, but still. So she got a lot of nerve trying to put him down, and she's the one who can't decide if she wants to move forward or not. Next, Smitty tells Jacob he played Detective Malone like a fiddle, and that he knew he was going to start asking around. And Smitty says that he thinks something is way bigger than a dirty cop. And yeah, you're right. Next, Joey asks Randy, why is Kenny still walking around? And Randy tells him that he shot Kenny and Kenny went down. And then Randy says the gun jammed and he tried to shoot Kenny again. But Kenny got up and ran. And so he says he took the money because he knew he blew it. And I still don't believe that story. Like I said, I just don't believe Randy's built for it. He probably faked like the gun jam just so Kenny could run away knowing Randy. So Randy says that he only took $10,000, and Joey tells him he had his chance, but he's not going to get another one. And so Joey goes on to tell him that he don't get his hands dirty because that's Detective Malone's job. And so now we know that Detective Malone is a Joey henchman, which we figured that out some episodes previous. We saw in some previous episodes that Detective Malone was a henchman of Joey when Jacob saw Joey giving Detective Malone an envelope of money. So we already knew this. Just then, Dr. McBride and Vanessa walks in. And then Dr. McBride tells Joey that Randy had his back since day one, and he's there to return the favor. And he goes on to tell Joey that Randy told him he was spooked, so he and Vanessa drove him to the airport, and that's when they saw his enforcer, Detective Malone, following them. And then Joey tells them to mind their own business. Next, Andre says to Danny there was someone he thought he had something real with, but she kept her foot in the past and kept him as a side project. And he's not lying. That's why I don't feel any sympathy for Danny Dupree. So Danny goes on to ask him, what was this woman like? And he says, a lot like you. And you think Ashley will be picking up on this and figuring out that these two are talking about each other. So Ashley asks, does she know the woman? And Andre says, who she is not important. And then Danny goes on to say, this woman clearly needs her head examined. Exactly. Next, Dr. McBride and Vanessa tells Joey that Randy is coming with them. And Vanessa tells Joey he has a lot to lose if they decide to change their arrangement with him. And then Joey tells them that they are playing a dangerous game. And at this point, Joey is starting to show that he is just a bunch of hot air. He likes to throw a bunch of threats. And yeah, that's about it. And then he goes on to tell Vanessa, what about if he refuses? And Vanessa tells him then that she walks away permanently. See, because if Joey was really about that business, he would have told Detective Malone to take all of them with him and let them all take a ride by the lake. But, yeah. Next, Jacob asks his dad, does he know what Smitty is going to find? And I think Jacob already knows that answer. Next, Ashley decides to go to the restroom, and then Andre tells Danny that she's furious because she finally realized what she threw away. Exactly. And that's a Danny Dupree problem. Now she's there looking stupid and alone. Next, Joey tells Randy to go. He helped him in the past with informing him about his cheating ex-wife, so that gives him a pass. And I'm like, get out of here, Joey. Because before Vanessa came, you weren't even talking like that. He was telling him that he was going somewhere cold and blah, blah, blah. See, it looks like Vanessa can get what she wants with him. And then he tells Vanessa to stay. Of course he does. And Dr. McBride, I'm telling you, this is another idiot. Because how many times does it take Joey to keep pissing on him and crapping on him before he realized just to exit left out of this situation with this woman? Because they are just disrespecting him so bad. Next, Jacob tells his dad he remembers 2 years ago, and he had just passed the detective exam, and he said his dad ran into him looking disheveled. And Jacob says Smitty said Martin came home the same night out of it and looking disheveled. And Jacob says something happened that night that has a sitting congressman having nightmares about that night. And Jacob asks his dad what happened that night. And his dad, he ain't gonna say nothing. He just gonna tell him ain't nothing going on. Next, Smitty tells Martin to tell him what happened. Here we go again. And Martin's gonna keep on. And Martin tell him he can't. And then Smitty tells him to trust him before it ruins them. And Martin still tells him he can't. Next, Joey tells Vanessa, don't ever do that again. Here we go. He's always throwing the threats. And then they begin to kiss. And he tells her she drives him crazy. So what was the purpose of the threat? Next, the chief tells Jacob there's nothing to tell. And Jacob knows that he's lying. And that ends the episode.